Welcome to the Personal Development Essentials podcast. And in this episode, we will be talking about self-education and also the knowledge business blueprint. So I will start with the self-education, really, which is something that we have been wanting to speak about with Paul for a few episodes now. And it is a fundamental of the personal development, because there is that quote by Jim Rohn. I love quoting Jim Rohn. Yeah. That formal education will make you a living, self-education will make you a fortune.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, there's no other way really, because the education system, the traditional education system is broken as it is. It has hardly evolved over the last 100 years or so. Even though we have gone from the industrial age to the information age, which we are now, our education system is still kind of teaching people how to be employees, or teaching them some basic skills, some things that you don't really need to know anymore, because you can just ask Google and find the answer in a fraction of a second. So you don't really need to fill your head with useless general knowledge that mostly, and of course there are exceptions, but I would say in general the traditional education system is broken. It has not evolved much. And if you think, I was reading a very interesting statistic that about 1/3 of the university graduates actually follow the profession that they studied. So that means that about 2/3 of them just go through those tuition fees and go into a massive debt, and they end up doing something completely different with their career. And from that 1/3, I wonder how many of them are actually fulfilled with what they do, or they just do it because, they paid all this money and they invested all this time to learn something, so they say, well, I have to do it. So
and the cost of education as well. I mean, a lot of students as well come out of college, university, saddled with massive debts,
tens of thousands. Yes.
So it's very expensive. And the thing is as well, I mean, the rate of change that we are witnessing in the world in terms of technological innovations and all this kind of stuff, in terms of disrupting the global economy, are just, I mean, driverless cars, they're not that far away, artificial intelligence, all this kind of stuff. The entrepreneur, Peter Diamandis, who's got the Singularity University as well, he also the author of Abundance as well, great book. He talks about the rate of change, and it's interesting. I mean, I always love that quote by Darwin about it's the most adaptable species that thrives, and the world in which we live is just evolving at a rate that most of us can't get our heads around. And those people who are able to rapidly assimilate information and adapt accordingly are those who can ultimately thrive in a changing world. And if you think about, even going back to, remember in the UK, like with the miners, and when they closed the mines, and then what do people do? All different kinds of jobs are changing rapidly. I mean, even look what Uber's disrupting taxis, and what a driverless car is going to do to everyone, and so on. Amazon have disrupted everyone. Drones are kind of, not far off in terms of deliveries and all this kind of stuff. So it's self-education, how you're able to adapt to a rapidly changing world, is of the utmost importance in today's day and age. Yeah,
they say that knowledge is the new currency right now. And I was reading some interesting figures that it's about $5,000 a second that are spent in acquiring knowledge. I mean, for $5,000 a second equates to about 400 million a day, and that's all buying knowledge, and it's incredible. And There is a part of this. When I was doing a little bit of preparation for this episode, I went back to one of the all-time favorite books by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. So one of the principles it's a whole chapter in his book is about specialized knowledge. And I read there again that the failure of the traditional educational institutions is that they don't teach their students how to organize and use the knowledge. They just give them a knowledge and they say, there you go, now go do something with it. But they don't teach you what to do with the knowledge. And we spoke in the previous episode about taking action, implementing the knowledge, which is something that the traditional educational institutions don't really deliver that. And that, of course, has the consequences that I was saying earlier, that 2/3 of graduates don't even get a job, a career that is relevant to what they studied. And you were talking about disruption. And do you know that Apple, Google, Netflix, there are these big companies that they don't require their employees anymore to have a 4-year degree from university. They look at they look at other stuff, specialized knowledge. They don't want them to have. They don't need them to have a degree anymore. And this could very much become the norm in the future. If Apple and Google does that, we're about to have a major disruption in the education.
That's a good point,
well.
and it's interesting. I mean, something. Peter Diamandis talks about this. His thing. A lot of entrepreneurs they see the world differently in terms of they see problems as opportunities. And I saw also the entrepreneur Naval Ravikant. He was talking about, again, the rapid changing pace of the world, and he said, actually, do you know what? What the world needs is if more and more people had simple grounding in things like physics and engineering, people would be better mentally equipped to deal with the challenges of today's. Because here's the thing, whether it's kind of environmental problems, all the very problems that we talk about, social, political, environmental, that the planet is dealing with right now, they're massive and they're legion, right? Now, it's almost like whether you're an entrepreneur or, got a dream, want to change the world and all this kind of stuff, when you are able to look at the world around you and say, okay, what's a problem? How can I fix it? And come up with innovative ways to fix it. And this is oftentimes how entrepreneurs find their niche. They look at the needs of a niche market. They say, hey, there's an opportunity there. If I do this, I can create this. And this is almost what people kind of need to be. It's learning through trial and error. If everyone almost had an experimental kind of attitude, almost, again, whether figuring out what they want in life, figuring out their own path, but again, take action. But if you have a good grounding in kind of engineers' problem-solving abilities and so on, you can come up with good solutions to the problems that you see around you and so on. So yeah, that's something which is worth remembering.
That's great. My only thing that I would say, because you mentioned the trial and error, I think there is self-education is better than trial and error. So rather than trying to figure things out yourself and learning from your mistakes, which will take time,
100%.
It's much better to be taught by someone who has been there, has done it, is doing it at a very high level, and they can teach you. And these people are not professors in the university.
And that's like that wonderful quote is, look, any fool can learn from experience. It's the whole standing on the shoulders of giants type thing, isn't it? And again, in order to collapse your learning curve, collapse time and so on, because most people would think through habit and societal conditioning, think in a linear fashion, whereas actually linear has been blown out the fucking window with the pace of kind of change and our ability to communicate and impact and collaborate with people across the globe. It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, it reminds me of that this differentiation between schooling and education, because most people or many people think it's the same thing, but it's not. And education is different than schooling. I don't remember who was it that said, I don't let schooling interfere with my education.
That's good.
Going back to the disruption of the education, the broken education system as it is today, that leads us to the second part of this episode, which is the knowledge business blueprint, which you might ask, wow, what is that? It's a mouthful, isn't it? So we, Paul and I, have talked many times about Tony Robbins in the past. So it is the knowledge business blueprint, which are just referred to as KBB for shortness, is a course that Tony Robbins, along with Dean Graziosi, Russell Brunson, some big names in the personal development world and the self-education, have created a course, an online course that is a big game changer, really, in terms of fixing this broken education system. Actually, as a matter of fact, it is their mission to make self-education the new norm. So when people in the future want to get specialized knowledge, to go to people who teach this specialized knowledge, and not necessarily to universities, colleges, going through 3 or 4 years of traditional education and getting a degree that might not give you any guarantee that you will get a job or make a career, let alone live a fulfilled life. So it is a course that I have taken myself. I did that course last year in May 2019, and it has, honestly speaking, it has really changed very much what I am as a person. And I will expand about this in a moment, but it has also given me some amazing tools, confidence. Oh man, it's so many things. I don't know where to start from it. But it has. I will start with this. Actually, it has changed me as a person in terms of 2 things. First is my confidence to speak, public speaking more. Facebook Lives without any hesitation, not having that worry of the judgment of people. And another thing that I changed very much about it is the mindset. And I suppose that many people would agree with me. I don't know, Paul, what you think, that if there is one person that can teach you mindset, it's Tony Robbins.
Certainly is. And actually, I'm reminded of the fact that recently, Conor McGregor's win over Donald Cowboy Cerrone, and who was Conor McGregor's mindset coach? Tony Robbins. And Conor McGregor is a great example of, there's some great speeches by Conor McGregor where he says, I'm not talented. This is obsession. I believe that anyone can do this if you put your mind to it and so on. I've just got an incredible work ethic. So, it's in terms of empowering mindset. Everything that you've spoken about, and I've seen the transformation in you as well, Aggie, with the knowledge blueprint and putting it into practice. I've seen it. It's very self-evident as well. You can't learn from any better people than Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi. So it's fantastic.
So I'll just link this KBB course to what we were saying earlier about the self-education and the broken traditional education as it is today, because that course really gives you a structure of creating a business out of
the information,
the knowledge. So they really teach you how to extract your knowledge, because each of us has a superpower, as they call it, or core competencies, or some things that we're uniquely good at. So it gives you the blueprint of getting that out of your head and methodically applying it in a way and present it in a way that you can teach others. And that can be done through a workshop, a mastermind group, an event, an online course, all these things that are the new part of the information age. You want to find something out today, what is it? The first thing that you do, you go to Google or to YouTube and try to find that knowledge. It's you don't really go to the traditional methods anymore. Most people don't anyway.
Yeah.
The newer generation, it's all that. So being able to have to share your own knowledge in a methodical way and make a business out of it.
Yeah.
Is very important, because they give you the structure of either starting a business out of your knowledge, or if you are into the information business already, they give you all the tools to scale it. And it's incredible. And that is no matter what niche you may be in. So they have identified, believe it or not, over 2,000 niches. So maybe I know you have a thing with snakes, Paul.
Yep.
So I'm sure that if you wanted to present a workshop on reptiles,
I do.
There is a blueprint of how you can make an impact talking to people that are interested about reptiles.
For those of you who don't know, I have a travel company, and we do a couple of different things, a couple of different niches. One of those is we do called herp trips. We go out looking for snakes. So that's everything you're talking about there, about bringing out whatever skill, passion, expertise you have and serving your target market. And this is fascinating, because this is where the world is going. Because, in terms of, it's almost like sometimes, the days of, not that they were ever there, opening a paper and trying to find your dream job, it doesn't really happen. Where oftentimes you kind of had to carve your own path. And some people are better as employees and like that and so on, but other people who don't necessarily fit various kind of molds. And this is a great way of, and you just have to look on YouTube. There are people making money out of
millions,
out of whatever. There's one actually, which I find incredible. It's called SML. It's called Super Mario Logan, right? Now, check this out. There's these bunch of, I say kids, they're like 20s or whatever. They do this little cartoon with like toy teddies of Mario and Bowser and all this kind of stuff. Do you know what? These guys are multi-millionaires, right? And it's the rudest thing you'll ever see. It's highly offensive, really funny, because I got in trouble for it one day because my son was talking about it at school, and the school pulled me in and said, "Did you know your son is watching this?" but that's just an example of monetizing your passion, and this is what these kids did, and this is what what anyone can do. So the knowledge business blueprint is all about helping you kind of, okay, what is your passion, what is your skill, whatever, finding who you can serve, and it enables you to do what you want to do and also make money out of it, and help other people, serve them, help solve their problems, and it's kind of like, it's a win-win for everyone.
I couldn't have said it better myself. It's so for people that want to do something meaningful and make money while doing it,
be justly rewarded,
be part of this information age and earn money while helping others grow and sharing information, which is information that they have. They have inside them anyway. So it's sharing that. And also, for me, and I think for the interesting thing is that since the course was launched last May, there were over 20,000 people that enrolled. So I was one of them. And one of the biggest reasons why people join that course is the trust in those big names behind the course, so namely Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi, which I will share the truth that when I got the course last year, I didn't really know much, if anything, about Dean Graziosi. I had heard the name, but I didn't know anything about him. So it was, for me personally, being a Tony Robbins fan and crew member, which I've shared in the podcast before, that was for me the reason that I got interested in the first place. So what they did last year, they did a live cast, that's how they call it, which they had announced a few weeks before. And they went live, and that was a free live video, anyone could watch it. and they broke the internet. They had over 200,000 attendees watching that, which was the record. It hasn't been surpassed yet. And they gave so much value explaining, what I'm trying to give a little bit of information, but it's one thing to listen to Agi Keramidas and a different thing to listen to Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi explaining the new era that we've gone into.
The knowledge economy.
Yeah, the new currency. Yeah, that's exactly how they call it. So, people who want to transition and become self-employed, which I think with many of the listeners of a personal development podcast, what you mentioned earlier about the employee mentality, somehow I doubt that there are many people that love being employees and listen to a podcast like this.
It's interesting that some people may be natural entrepreneurs and some people might be intrapreneurs, which is that they like working with other entrepreneurs, maybe not necessarily want to be the front of the business or whatever. So whatever you want to do, that's absolutely fine. But this is all about just, and for me, the whole kind of self-education thing, it's just about, it's always been the constant course correction, tweaking as you go, and just finding, carving your path. A lot of the things I do, I carve my own path, because I realised I wasn't, the ideal employee sometimes. And I just kind of wanted to do my own thing. And that's how I kind of set up my own businesses and so on. But everything that we're talking about here, it's a dual-fold thing, because it helps you become your best self, because you're getting on the path, you're doing the things you really want to do. And this is the thing, guys, you only need to see it on YouTube, on Instagram, on other people, building their own brands and all this kind of stuff and making a living under their terms. And this is so empowering. And again, the flip side is, one, it's good for you. Two, it's good for helping other people in society at large. If you can help other people with whatever it is you want to do, then good.
Absolutely. And for many people, what's holding them back and not doing that is maybe the lack of knowledge, because it can be unknown territory for people that are not familiar with these things. And that's the whole beauty of the KBB course, is that it gives you the exact blueprint from everything, from really understanding what your core competencies are, to the ways that you can market an event and present your event, your course, whatever it is, to the people out there, so that they can find it and get it. And all the specifics, the term blueprint really describes it in the best way that I could ever say. It takes you from the beginning, holds your hand and shows you all the steps necessary, not only in practical ways, but also, again, I will use the mindset, because it does take a different mindset to start a business, especially if you're not used to it, or if this is your first venture. And when I say business, I don't necessarily mean a big corporation. I mean, work for yourself, be self-employed, just make some income for yourself.
Could be some kind of online coaching or something.
Yes, absolutely. Or whatever it is that, or the reptiles that you said, or it can be all sorts of, whatever it is that you have a passion about. There is for sure some audience, some people that would love to learn about that. I mean, we are, and this is, again, the information age, the interconnectivity. You can reach people on the other side of the planet instantly through the internet. So if I have a passion about, I'm trying to think of a very extreme example of a niche that maybe it's completely, I don't know, underwater.
Well, there's practically, a niche for everything you can think of.
Yeah, and there are people that are willing to learn about that. Yeah. So if you're passionate and you're good at it, it's only a matter of having a plan of how to reach that audience and teach them, and they will be happily pay for that, because I told you, it's $400 million a day that is being exchanged to gain information.
And here's the thing, just to kind of let this sink in as to how significant the age in which we live in is, it's almost like, okay, so if you think, back not even, maybe even 50 years or 100 years or whatever, let's say if you were, I don't know, a farmer or whatever, now you only had certain areas where you could kind of market your produce or what have you. Whereas now, certainly the information economy, it's access to pretty much everyone on the planet. If you can figure out the marketing, the way to use the internet and Facebook ads and YouTube and all this kind of stuff, you can locate your target market and you can put your offerings in front of them. And think of it this way. It's almost like the market is the ultimate arbiter of your success. Right? And what I mean by that is, it's almost, you think of it in kind of like a mathematical kind of model. Money is a byproduct of value exchanged to the market.
Absolutely.
And if you have a skill or whatever, if you're in a job and when you actually want to be doing something else because you've traded your time for money, there are better ways to make money where you can, do an online course, have a marketable skill or whatever. There are other ways of making money now. The ability to tap into the abundance of the internet, it's like, there is abundance everywhere. You don't have to be limited to just your immediate geographical kind of confines.
Not at all. Yes, you said it perfectly, that we can reach the whole globe now, and with our information, share it, and find the people that want to learn that from you, and they will happily pay you to teach them whatever it is that you're passionate about. And again, it goes back to what we said earlier about self-education. This is really what's going to take you to the next level of your life, by learning what you're interested about. And in this case, of course, it's personal development that we're talking about, but for me that encompasses all sorts of things. Becoming a better version of ourselves in every aspect, or in any aspect. It could be our mindset, it could be our way we perceive money, it could be our relationships, it could be whatever it is. As long as we grow, for me that is personal development. And I will just share one more thing about the KBB, that last year when it launched, many people bought it mainly because of the trust in the names, the brands. So it was a new product, and not many people knew. There was not a track record, as we say. Now, almost 10 months down the line, there are over 20,000 people who have got the course. There is a massive track record. I mean, it's 1,000 or more video testimonials of people that have had tremendous success. And I mean, I've seen one that started doing a mastermind and earning tens of thousands of dollars, and that was his first mastermind. Because he found the blueprint, the method to really create a business out of knowledge that he had already, but he had no idea how to transform that into a self-employment, or into a source of revenue, and also making an impact as well, because that is the thing. It's not just about making money, it's about changing people's lives, which is so important. So they are, after 10 months, they have decided to relaunch. So they call it the KBB version 2.0. So they have it's a complete overhaul of the software they provide, the training, and they're going to do a new livecast like the one that they did last year on the 27th of February, which is, I think it's 3 or 4 hours, something like that. I think it's 3 hours that they just go live and give tremendous value. So people that if you haven't had a chance to see Tony Robbins, just by any chance, sometimes I take it for granted that everyone knows who Tony Robbins is, but not everyone knows him. But if you've never had a chance to see him, I would invite you to check out this live video that he's going to do with Dean Graziosi, talking about self-education, the information age, how the traditional education system is broken, and their vision and mission of changing that. And it's I remember we've talked about Peter Diamandis or Elon Musk, that they want to colonize Mars and go to space. So these kinds of or Richard Branson and Tony and Dean have a very different mission, but it is again a mission to change humanity in a different way, in the way of education. And
that's got a really good point, actually, because there's something I just want to add. It's almost like, we mentioned whether Elon Musk or Peter Diamandis or whatever you call it, to have a moonshot. We've spoken about this in your life, and the moonshot is your ideal life, right? Now, think about it this way. If human beings, if we have the capability to devise technology and so on to send satellites like light years away and visit other planets and all this kind of stuff, it's almost like, well, all of the information is available on this planet to totally transform your life and the lives of other people. Now, your moonshot, your mission for your life is to realize your ideal life, right? But get enough kind of people to help you on your mission and to kind of make it happen. So it's almost like this blows things wide open in terms of how far can you go in your life, right? It's just like there is no glass ceiling, guys. And when you realize that, you're like, whoa, what can I do? How far can I go? And so to learn from as many people as you can, from like Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, all this kind of stuff, to help accelerate your progress, help you move forward faster on your mission in whatever it is you want to achieve in life. Awesome. Tap into the abundance of the internet, tap into the collaborative kind of potential of the internet. The technology and the know-how is there to practically do fucking anything. You just need to step up and go for it.
And this course is, and I'm talking because I've done it as well, and I know firsthand how good it is, how damn good it is. That course will give you the confidence and the knowledge, the technicalities will be taken care of. Because if you don't know where to start with tapping into the abundance that you were talking about, Paul, it might put some people off. So this is a great opportunity to learn exactly how to do it, be guided by these giants of self-education, and participate in a movement that, my opinion is that is going to take the world by storm. I think they've only started doing it 10 months ago, and there is a huge movement, because really education is one of the most important things in humanity. It changes not just us, but all the future generations. So if the education evolves as it should and follows with the times that we live on, that is something that I think I wouldn't mind just being a part of that. So for me, it is I feel privileged really to be part of that movement of the Knowledge Business Blueprint, and I will again invite people that are interested or they find what we discussed about intriguing, to watch Tony and Dean on that livecast.
And you're going to put the link in the show notes.
I'm going to put the link on the show notes, or you can message me if you want on social media.
Yeah, if you want to learn a bit more, just message Aggie, on Facebook,
But yeah, do watch that video, because you will, especially if you don't know who Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi is, I think they will blow your mind with the information and the value. They just give pure value. So yeah, that's any parting words, Paul? I think I've covered I was quite passionate about it.
No,
I suppose it came across.
Yeah, no,
it is a thing that, because I have done the course myself, I know firsthand how good it is. I can't wait really for the next steps.
We're both kind of massive learners, you know. This is what we do.
Lifelong
learners. I mean, education coupled with, you know, action taking, it is the answer, really, isn't it? You know, educate yourself, take a fuckload of action.
and change your life.
I hadn't dropped any F-bombs in there, so I was waiting for the whole episode. And the whole point is, you know, linear kind of thinking. It's, if you want to evolve yourself and your life faster than ever before, you know, you need to be able to learn, assimilate the information and take action rapidly. Changing times, you know, knowledge economy, information economy. And again, what we always implore people to do, don't just listen to us, you know, do something. You know, if we've inspired you, listen to us, click the links, you know, pick up that book, you know, make that call, pitch someone your idea, whatever. This is the whole point of what we do. We really want to inspire people to just, you know, step up, serve, help other people, and move forward with whatever it is you want to do.
To stand out, not to fit in, and take control of your life and make your life a masterpiece, as Tony Robbins says. I will just end up with that. Make your life a masterpiece. So thank you very much for listening.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you for listening. To register for Tony and Dean's free live training, go to bit.ly/74podcast. That's all with small letters. And I'll also put it in the show notes too. So once again, the link is bit.ly/74podcast.